Hello, welcome back to Matthew Explores, and today we're stepping into a remarkable and often overlooked part of Eastbourne's past. The story of its fire service. It's a journey that runs from a single hand pump in 1824 to the modern East Sussex Fire and Rescue Service we know today. And throughout this video you'll hear stories uncovered thanks in part to an excellent piece of local history, a book called Unsung Heroes, which preserves the lives, memories and dedication of Eastbourne's firefighters over nearly 2 centuries. Our story begins in 1824. Eastbourne was still a small parish, but that year marked the purchase of a manual hand pump and the formation of a volunteer crew. Local men, often tradespeople and shopkeepers, dropped everything when the call came. They weren't paid professionals, but their sense of duty meant the town finally had a way to fight its ever-growing risk of fire. By 1857, Meads had outgrown the makeshift arrangements, leading to the construction of a proper engine house, and this engine house was on Grove Road. The station became the hub of the town's early fire response, storing the pumps and equipment that the volunteers relied on. As Eastbourne expanded through the Victorian era, so did its firefighting footprint. Stations appeared in multiple neighbourhoods, each serving unique corners of the growing town. One station stood on Watts Lane, supporting the Old Town and Ocklinge area. Another, perhaps the most visually striking, rose in Meads in 1898, built with style and purpose. The Meads station housed a horse-drawn engine, living quarters and a tall hose drying tower. This tower wasn't just a quirky architectural feature, it was essential for maintaining equipment in the days before synthetic hoses and electric drying rooms. Together, stations like Grove Road, Watts Lane and Meads connected Eastbourne with faster, more dependable fire response than ever before. Well as the aforementioned stations in Grove Road, Watts Lane and Meads, they were supported by other smaller stations throughout the area. One was in Langley Road between 1876 and 1884. There was also an engine house in Cavendish Place, open between 1885 and 1933. It was closed in 1933 but found a second life during World War II. It was reopened and it was put back into use between 1941 and 1944. Hampden Park had its own fire station, and that was located in Railway Road between 1911 and 1932. Railway Road, now called Elm Grove, and this was located just next to the electricity substation in Elm Grove. Unfortunately, World War II saw the Grove Road fire station being destroyed by bombing. After this happened, there was a temporary station opened between 1943 and 1946, and that was located in Southfields Road. Then post-war, 1946 to 1973, work began on a brand new fire station, and in an urgent need for the new premises, the fire service built its station in Bourne Street. This was much larger than any of the other previously built stations, and this lasted until 1973. 1973-74, the fire station that is currently in use in Whitley Road opened and continues to serve us today. As technology advanced, so did Eastbourne's fire service. Manual pumps gave way to horse-drawn steam engines and eventually motorised fire appliances. When Eastbourne became a borough in 1884, its fire brigade officially stepped into a new era, funded, organised and trained to a higher, more professional standard. standard. Competitions, inter-brigade training events and growing public support pushed the service into the modern age. But the real heart of this story is people, men like Henry C. Newman, born in 1832 in Old Town, who volunteered for decades while working as a carpenter, embodying the spirit captured so beautifully in Unsung Heroes. Newman's service was formally recognised in 1884 with a Fire Brigade medal. Stories like this of bravery, sacrifice and community pride form the backbone, and multiple generations of families volunteered for the service. These individuals weren't just responding to emergencies, they were shaping the identity of a town that came to rely on them. By the 20th century, firefighting in Eastbourne became increasingly professional. Full-time crews replaced many volunteers, new equipment arrived, the stations adapted to more modern challenges. Then came a turning point. On the 1st of April 1974, Eastbourne's Borough Fire Brigade joined Brighton, Hastings and the County Brigade to become part of East Sussex County Fire Brigade. This merger created a unified service with greater resources and a broader reach, setting the foundations for the organisation we recognise today. Since 1974, the service has evolved into East Sussex Fire and Rescue Service, a modern multi-skilled organisation operating across East Sussex, Brighton and Hove. They respond to everything from structural fires, road traffic accidents and water rescues, hazardous material incidents, and in 2024 East Sussex Fire and Rescue Services celebrated its 50th anniversary, honouring the men and women who served across generations and recognising the deep heritage that began in parish halls and volunteer sheds nearly 200 years ago. And throughout this story, the stations, the equipment, the dramatic fires and the everyday acts of courage, one thing that shines through is the firefighters themselves, their dedication from the earliest volunteers to today's highly trained professionals, reflecting a tradition of service that Eastbourne can be truly proud of. Books like Unsung Heroes by Stephen Levine help ensure their stories aren't lost to time. They bring names, faces and personal sacrifices back into the light, reminding us of the people behind the sirens. So when you see an East Sussex Fire and Rescue engine racing along the seafront or through the town centre, remember it's part of a legacy stretching back 2 centuries, built by ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And if you've enjoyed this exploration into Eastbourne's firefighting past, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to go deeper, and I would highly recommend it, if you want the real detailed stories, the personal accounts, the full narrative of Eastbourne's fire service from 1824 to 1974, I highly recommend reading Unsung Heroes. That's Unsung Heroes by Stephen Levine. It's a fantastic, meticulously researched book that brings the entire history to life, far beyond whatever I could cover in this video. Anyway, thanks for watching, and until next time, this has been Matthew Explores, and bye for now.